Commonwealth calls William Fastow.
Holy shit. Wait, he's the next witness? It's December 4th. It is day 4 of Massachusetts versus Brian Walshe. I'm not sure where we are tracking for today, but I'm interested to see. And yes, this case is still in the early stages, and we've already seen some really tough evidence. And the question that I keep bringing up and that the defense is going to keep bringing up is, but do we have premeditation? Do we have a first-degree murder? And again, we are still anticipating that the defendant will testify in this case, and that can throw everything out the window. So it's still early days in this case, but I think we're going to see more and more why defendant Walshe pled guilty to the disposing of the body and lying to law enforcement, because the evidence on those is fairly overwhelming, but the jury's not going to be given that question. So we're going to have to focus our question on what did he know before? What did he know that day, early morning? What was he thinking? What did he do? Or should I say, what, if anything, did he do? Because we've had a lot less of that this trial, and maybe you just needed one added in there.
I understand from the emails that came to me last night that the defense is no longer agreeing to all the William Fastow messages coming in. Is that right?
What?
Not trying to hedge, but the court indicated that you were inclined to perhaps keep some out. And so my intention is, if any, then all, but I think Mr. Walshe deserves the benefit of knowing what the court's ruling is before I have to negotiate with the Commonwealth. What'd
your client say after court yesterday then? I know you're not going to tell us, but I'm just curious. Remember, at the end of court yesterday, they were talking about the William Fastow texts between Anna Walshe and William. The court said, I am going to let in these texts, but not all of the texts. And the defense said, if the court's going to let in some, let in all. And now the lawyer is saying, well, it seems that she's asking the court to specifically delineate exactly which text will be coming in before deciding which other text may be allowed in, which means everybody's got to do the work to parse the texts. And I imagine it's because the defendant was like, hey, what texts?
So I'm not giving an advisory opinion. And so here's what I'm going to say to you with regard to that. I'm going to read something in the record because I want it to be clear under what authority I am allowing those text messages in, so the record is complete. The Commonwealth filed a motion in limine to enter text messages between William Fastow and Anna Walshe as evidence of Anna's state of mind. Quote, an exception to the hearsay rule permits the admission of evidence of a murder victim's state of mind as proof of the defendant's motive to kill the victim, end quote. Commonwealth versus Castano, 478 Mass 75 at 85, 2017. Such evidence is admissible, quote, when and only when there also is evidence that the defendant was aware of that state of mind at the time of the crime and would be likely to respond to it. Period, end of quote. Commonwealth versus Qualls, 425 Mass 163, 167, 1997. There need not be direct evidence that the defendant learned of the victim's state of mind, so long as the jury reasonably could have inferred that he did learn of it. Citing again to Castano, 478 Mass at 85. In this case, there is evidence from which the jury reasonably could infer that the defendant saw the text messages exchanged between William Fastow and Anna Walshe. Specifically, during his interviews with the police on January 4th, 2023, Brian Walshe told detectives that sometimes Anna's iMessenger comes up on his phone and that he had seen messages people were leaving for Anna. That is at the 1/4/23 interview transcript at page 30. During his January 7th, 2023 interview, Brian Walshe told police that Anna took a bunch of photos on New Year's Eve and that she sent one to William Fastow around 10 o'clock. That can be found in the interview of 1/7/23 transcript at 86. And during his January 8th, 2023 interview, Brian Walshe told the detectives that they could get the exact time that his son went to bed on New Year's Eve based on the time Anna texted Fastow the photo. That may be found on the 1/3/23 interview transcript at page 7. From such evidence, which accurately noted the time Anna sent the photo to William Fastow, it is reasonable to infer that the defendant had seen her text message exchange. Contrary to the defendant's contention, the text messages at issue contain some evidence of Anna's state of mind at the time of the crime. In particular, she sends messages regarding her feelings of confusion in her married life, her intimate relationship with Fastow, and her desire to make future plans with Fastow. While there was some discussion of redacting portions of the messages that are not relevant to the state of mind evidence, and I will reserve ruling on those as I now know the parties' positions has changed. I will reserve ruling on those. I continue to believe that there are certain messages that are not relevant to Anna's state of mind. And if the defendant objects during the proceeding of Mr. Fastow's testimony to those, I will rule on those real time.
Did you tell people about your relationship with Anna?
Yes.
Did you socialize together with any of Anna's friends?
We did not.
Did you socialize with any of your friends?
We did.
Did Anna ever discuss with you telling Brian Walshe about her relationship with you?
Yes. Anna felt it was really important that when Brian was to find out about the relationship, that she would hear it from her. She had expressed great concern, and I think she felt it would be a strike against her integrity if he found out a different way.
Were you and Anna making plans to go on any other trips in 2023?
Yes. I was in Idaho with my children for New Year's, was flying back to Washington, D.C., and we had planned to celebrate New Year's together on the 4th.
And were you going to go?
The day he finally reported her missing? Was that in your text messages? Did he know that you were planning to be together on the 4th? Is that why he called her work? Because you certainly would have noticed if she didn't show up on the 4th. So is that why he called her work in the morning and then was talking to law enforcement on the 4th? Because he didn't call on the 1st, and he didn't call on the 2nd, and he didn't call on the 3rd. He called on the 4th. Is that a weird coincidence? Or did he know? Because if he knew, the jury has, I think, fewer dots to connect. We're at the morning break of day 4, and the victim's Paramour lover has taken the stand, and they went to sidebar, and then the court sent the jury out on morning break because there's still things being redacted. So we are still waiting for those text messages to see what they say. But one of the things that I found interesting from the early testimony of Mr. William Fastow was that he and Anna had decided they were going to celebrate New Year's on January 4th when they were both back in DC. Happens to be the same day that Brian Walshe, after numerous days of no communication with Anna, decided to call her work and see if she happened to be there. Is that date a coincidence? Or was Brian Walshe receiving her messages, and did he know that she was going to miss meeting up with William on the 4th because he had seen that in their communications? I'm very curious.
What was the last contact that you had with Anna Walshe?
I received a text message from Anna. It was a Happy New Year's message right around the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve, East Coast time.
Did you respond to her?
I believe I did.
And then did you send her anything?
The following day, I had sent her a photo of me showing one of my children how to ski. I had sent her, I think, a waving hand emoji. I think I'd sent a question mark query and then a couple of other texts over the next day or two that went that were not responded to.
Did you try calling her?
I did.
When was that?
I believe I tried calling her on January 2nd, and it went straight to voicemail. I tried that a couple times, and then I called her from a landline, thinking that she may have blocked my cell phone.
Did she ever answer you?
She did not.
Were you concerned?
I was.
Did you have any contact with Brian Walshe after you sold the townhouse to Anna?
I may have had a call or two with him discussing the townhouse. I don't really recall. It would have been dealing with property matters. And then he called me on January 4th.
And did you answer that call?
I did not.
What did you do?
I pushed the call to my voicemail.
Why'd you do that?
I was in an intimate relationship with his wife. I had not heard from her in several days, and frankly, I was concerned that maybe he had found out and was calling to confront me.
Did he leave you a voicemail?
No.
Did you call him back?
I did not, but he called me a few hours later again.
When was that?
A few hours after the initial call, so maybe mid-morning, noonish. I couldn't tell exactly.
And did you answer that second call?
No, I pushed that to voicemail as well.
Did Brian Walshe leave you a voicemail?
The second time he did.
And did you provide that voicemail to law enforcement?
Yes, I did.
Good afternoon, William. It's Brian Walshe. I hope all is going well. I was just reaching out to basically everybody I could. Anna hasn't been in touch for a few days. I spoke to work today. She hasn't been in. They went to the house and she wasn't there, or it was like she's been there recently. So just wondering if you've spoken to her in the near, recently, like Sunday or the last 2 days. Just so let me know, or if you know anyone that might have had contact with her, calling everyone. So sorry to bother you. Sure, everything's fine, and you wish you 617-929-8646. Thanks.
What did you do after receiving that voicemail, sir?
I immediately called Brian back.
And what happened when you called Brian back?
I told him that I was concerned. We had discussed that Anna had been missing since New Year's Day. And I was actually driving at the time that I made the call. I told him that I was nearby the house and that I could stop by the house and check to see if she was there, if that would be beneficial.
And what did you, did you do that?
I did.
And how did you get into the house?
Brian provided me the garage code. I opened the garage and entered the garage bay underneath the house.
And was there a car in the garage?
There was not.
Was there usually a car in the garage?
Anna usually parked in the garage, yes.
And did Anna have a car?
Yes.
Do you know what kind?
I believe it was a Volkswagen Taos.
Did she have one car, two cars, if you know?
Just one car that I know of.
Do you know, did you look inside the house?
I checked the door leading from the garage to the house. That door was locked, so I couldn't enter the house.
Did you notice any damage to the house?
I did not.
And what did you do after going to the house?
I called Brian let him know that there was no sign that she was there, that her car wasn't there. It didn't look like anyone had been home. And then I actually came back later that evening and checked the garage again in the hopes that she might have shown up.
And did you see anything at that time?
No, it was the same.
You had mentioned that you met Anna Walsh, I guess, in the late winter, early spring of 2022?
Yes,
And you were introduced to her through a mutual friend, Jem Mutlu?
correct.
And Mr. Mutlu is also in the real estate business?
He is.
Okay. And at first you were introduced because Mrs. Walsh was looking for a property in the DC area to relocate her family.
Correct.
And you assisted her in, excuse me, finding the townhouse?
I did.
Okay. And when you were looking or showing her that townhouse, at some point you FaceTime with Mr. Walsh, who was back in Boston, so he could see the property as well?
Yes.
And this was a property for the whole family?
Yes.
Okay. I think you said that quickly you guys became confidants?
Yes.
Okay, and when you say confidants, do you mean really good friends? Would you share secrets? Would you commiserate about being, hardworking? What do you mean by confidant?
We were both at very vulnerable times in our lives. I was dealing with a separation and what was soon to be a full-fledged divorce.
Okay.
And initially unbeknownst to me, but became quite obvious, is that she was dealing with a pretty substantial family legal trouble.
My question is, at no point did she ever come to you concerned and say, I think my husband knows I have an affair or he's suspicious of you?
We had one episode where Brian called me while we were out to dinner, and I showed the phone to Anna because it was unusual for Brian to call me. Anna then later called Brian, and Brian had claimed that one of their children had taken his phone and called me by accident. That would be the closest thing that had happened where we felt concerned that maybe Brian had found out.
So I guess I'm not asking if you felt concerned. I mean, you're having an illicit affair. You're always kind of concerned someone's going to find out, right?
I mean, I suppose.
My question to you is, did Anna ever text you or call you and say, look, I think Brian is suspicious that I'm having an affair?
Anna never texted or called me and said that she felt that Brian knew that we were having an affair.
You had mentioned that you had introduced or socialized with your friends and Anna Walsh.
Yes.
The friends that you had that you would socialize with Anna Walsh, they weren't connected to Brian in any way?
No. Except for Jem Mutlu.
Jem, okay, and did Jem Mutlu ever come to DC?
He did not, but we had correspondence.
Okay. And as far as you know, well, let me ask you this. You didn't tell Jem Mutlu about your relationship with Anna?
I don't recall.
You don't recall? Okay. Anna never told Jem Mutlu about your relationship.
I'm sorry, is that a question?
It sure is.
I don't know what Anna told Jem Mutlu or what she didn't.
So Jem Mutlu was the reason you guys met, right?
Correct.
You guys, or you were good friends?
I would say that we were professional associates.
Okay.
Actually, let me couch that. I would say we were friends.
Okay. Did you and Anna ever socialize with Jem Mutlu together?
Not to my knowledge, no. Not that I recall.
So did you ever go to dinner with Jem and hold hands with Anna, flirt with her in front of Jem? No. So would it be fair to say that you were keeping this from a mutual friend of yours?
I don't know if I was keeping it from him. Jem Mutlu and I had numerous conversations during the time that I knew Anna. We've had conversations following Anna's disappearance. And frankly, it's a little difficult for me to tell you what Jem knew or when or what I told him. I mean, this is something that's played out over 3 years. So
Your answer is you don't know if you ever told Jem Mutlu about your romantic relationship with Anna Walsh.
I don't know if I told her before she disappeared.
Okay. So you talked to him after?
Yes.
And you told him after that you were in a romantic relationship?
He certainly knew after that we were in a romantic relationship.
Because you told him?
Yes, I believe so.
But you don't know if you told him when you and Anna were dating?
I cannot recall if I told him before or after.
Okay.
At the end of the direct examination of William Fastow, we did not hear any of the text messages, but they are admitted into evidence. There was a packet of papers. Some texts are redacted, some aren't, that are going to be in evidence, but they have not come in yet. We'll see if they come in during cross-examination, but the connection that it took me till cross-examination to make is that the mutual who introduced Anna to William in the capacity of William helping her buy a townhome in Washington, D.C., was Jem Mutlu, the friend and Anna Walsh's former boss that was at the house with Anna Walshe and Brian Walshe on New Year's Eve. That is who their mutual was. And Anna had sent William a photo of her and Mr. Mutlu and one of Anna's children on New Year's Eve. And that's in that packet of text that we didn't see. So it's interesting to hear the lines of questioning about whether that mutual friend knew. And I wonder when we hear from Mr. Mutlu, how much we will hear about whether he was more a friend to Anna, being her former boss and knew Brian, or whether he considered himself a close friend to both of them. I'm very interested now to hear that testimony. And I am sadly a little disappointed to not know what was in some of the texts. I do find it very interesting that there was one time that Brian Walshe called Mr. Fastow when he and Anna were at dinner together, and then said to Anna later that it was one of the kids who accidentally called Mr. Fastow when he just happened to be at dinner with Anna Walshe. And remember, the jury is going to be allowed, if they find the evidence, to infer whether or not Brian Walshe knew based on the comment about seeing her iMessenger. But no one's clarified whether these texts are between two iPhones or not, and it's just bugging me.
Ms. Waldrop, where are we looking at the Claremont apartment complexes in this second video?
So this is the, right when you come to the back, this is actually at the bottom of the hill or of the backside where the two dumpsters are located in that fenced area right there.
In that fenced area. And you said they're gated. Is there a lock to them or anything like that?
No.
And what access do you give the general public to your dumpsters? It's people who don't live there. Can they use them?
No, they're not supposed to. No. And there's signs that,
I mean, they're not supposed to, but it's not locked.
Yeah, it's private property and they are on surveillance. I mean, it's on surveillance. So they're not meant to use our dumpsters. No.
So we go from 1635:08 to headlights driving by at 1636:31. And then you see a person leaving the dumpsters at right after 1636, walking back and away, back towards the direction the Volvo had gone. But you see the door for the dumpsters is open. And then at 1638:26, oh God, walking back towards the dumpsters with a bag. Door is still open to where the dumpsters are. We're now at 1638:53. Somebody is still in the area of the dumpsters. We haven't seen them leave yet. 1639:08. And somebody dressed all in black walking back out of the dumpsters. And then right after the Volvo backs out, looks like it's turning around and leaving the camera. We're at 1639:45. Well, the court is at lunch. The prosecution continues to move through this case with focus, organization, and quite a bit of speed. And it's really nice to see. So we are now on witness 21, Massachusetts State Trooper Connor Keefe, who is the tech expert that is going to be dealing with the cell phone data and the cell phone ping data. We are just getting into the first cell phone handset that he evaluated. We haven't yet gotten to the subscriber information that corresponds with that handset, but they were talking about when that handset last interacted with Verizon's network. It was in the direction of the home on Chief Justice Cushing Highway, and that last interacted with the network on January 3rd, just after 3 o'clock in the morning. So we will be hearing a lot more tech data and what phones pinged and what didn't. And remember, this is data that they are getting from Verizon records, not from the handsets of the phones. So they were getting this information when Anna Walsh was reported missing. We've also gone through some really chilling video of a very tall figure dressed in dark clothing, driving a Volvo to a dumpster and taking a bag into that dumpster. So the tech data and slogging through the tech data will be a change of pace, possibly for the rest of the day.
Now, who is the sender of this?
The number ending in 6708.
And what is the body of this first message?
Merry Xmas to you, buddy. I miss you. Merry Xmas to all of you.
Date and time?
December
That it was read.
December 25th, 2022, 9:45 a.m.
Going down to the next text, who's the sender of that next one?
The number ending in 6708.
And what does the body of that say?
These
Her phone
still
is going
Jim?
directly to voicemail.
And what was the date and time that this message was read?
January 4th, 2023, 10:54 a.m.
And the next text in that thread? Which number sends that?
6708.
And what is the body of that?
Any news? Question mark. Have you alerted everybody at her work and the DC police? Question mark.
Now,
These are Jem texting Brian, and we went from a Merry Christmas text, not in the group text, separate text chain, not in a group text. And we've got Jem, who's Anna's former boss, texting back and forth with Brian, Merry Christmas, buddy, referencing Brian and everybody. And then on January 4th, 2023, her phone is going right to voicemail. And then after that, have you alerted everyone?
I'd like to scroll down to page 4. In the middle of that, which is the sender of this blue text?
The number ending in 6708.
And what does the body of it say?
Hey, buddy, can you send me the photos we took on New Year's Eve? NYE? Question mark.
What was the date and time it was read?
January 5th, 2023, 11:17 a.m.
And the next thread, the next text down, sir? What number is sending that?
The number ending in 8646.
And what?
We can't see the exhibit, but it sounds like Brian is not texting back to any of these texts.
Is the body of that text?
All the photos were taken on Anna's phone. I don't have any.
There's
And
Brian texting
when
back.
was that text delivered?
January 5th, 2023 at 11:30 a.m.
You can close out of that, Ms. Gilman. Thank you.
So at the end of the day, I think the most useful tech information was seeing that Brian Walshe was in fact using the iPhone SE. That was his phone. I think at one point I was like, is this one of the kids' phones? No, there was an iPhone mini and an iPhone SE. I think that the SE was Brian Walsh's phone. At one point he was using, it seemed, the iPhone mini. And then he said to numerous individuals that he just found his phone. It was in one of the children's beds, and then one of the other children found his phone, so he just got his phone back. And then he was using that phone quite consistently. And the phone that he was using was the one with the location data that lined up with the video that we saw. Quite stark and sad video. And the order of the witnesses today from the prosecution was really good. They brought in just a wonderful witness from the apartment complex who had such crystal clear security video of a Volvo SUV coming in, going back by where the dumpsters are, a taller individual in black going to where the dumpsters are, going back towards where the Volvo is, carrying a bag, going back to the dumpsters, being there for a minute, getting back to the Volvo, and immediately leaving. When we saw that video, And then we saw Brian Walsh's phone in the same area of that dumpster. It really connects the two things together well. But then you also saw the phone at other apartment complexes on the same day. You also saw the phone at Lowe's multiple times, at HomeGoods multiple times, at his mother's apartment complex near the dumpster and compactor that were ultimately seized by law enforcement and searched, where Anna's boots, jacket, watch, and other items, including a lot of those blood-soaked items, were found. We have not had the testimony yet that those were blood-soaked. That will be coming in later. We will get into all the scientific evidence, which will also be long days of trial. So the jury's going to hear that it was tested and determined to be blood, whose DNA it was, because they will have DNA tested it. And we're going to hear those too. But we saw him going to the CVS and the other things that we've heard about, including Home Depot. So showing that camera and connecting it in the jury's mind really connects well what he was doing. And this answers a lot of questions for what was happening after the early morning hours of January 1st. We will see when we get into more evidence to answer what could have been going on between when their friend Jem Mutlu left the home with Brian and Anna Walsh on December 31st. What happened between Jem leaving the home with them after midnight and around 3 o'clock in the morning when we start seeing things being Googled? That's the question that this trial is trying to answer and that this jury is ultimately going to have to answer. We also saw text messages back and forth, lots of texts where Brian Walsh is saying, I don't know where she is. I haven't seen her. No, we haven't heard. Yes, we're going to start calling around. But notably, on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Brian Walsh was Googling how to find a JetBlue flight or track a JetBlue flight. Remember, Anna Walsh's flight from December 25th, from Christmas morning, that flight got canceled. But he was also searching for William Fastow and then started to search for Anna Walsh and then searched about a plane crash and then searched about Anna Walsh found dead, which was a alarming search to hear, but it seemed like he was searching quite a lot on the 25th. I wonder if they had heard from each other, and we haven't seen in the phone records yet if he was calling Anna quite a lot on the 25th. We haven't seen when she communicated with him that her flight got canceled. We haven't seen any of that. I don't know if we will, but interesting searches on Christmas Day. And we heard testimony earlier in the day from William that that was quite a point of contention. And Brian Walsh did talk about that in his interviews with law enforcement, that her not being home on Christmas Eve until like after 8 p.m. Christmas Day was incredibly frustrating for him. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.